Welcome, Cambridge, here to Twilight Robbery, a progression in 2024. Twilight Robbery by Francis Harding, of course, a celebrity in the field of writing. Text for Section A, an extract from the Twilight Robbery, known as Flytrap in the US by Francis Harding. Clint, Muska, and her pet goose called Saracen have traveled to a town called Tull. After finding an inn, Clint, Muska, and Saracen set off to track down the imperiled heiress. Fortunately, this proved to be relatively easy. The mere mention of the mayor's daughter brought gleaming smile to the face of the guards at the clock tower. Ah, you will mean his adopted daughter, Miss Bimabeth Melbourne? Oh, we all know of her. Thank you, sir. She is the beach of Tull, the perfectest peony. Mayor's Melbourne's family lived in the old judge's lodging up in the castle courtyard. Ask anyone as you go. They will all know where to send you. And indeed they did. Ah, you are going to speak with Miss Melbourne? Then I envy you, sir, for she is the finest sight within Tull's walls. Miss Bimabeth Melbourne? Sweetest creature on 10 toes. Smile like a spring day. Yes. Just take this alley to the end. Tull was a hill town, and all its streets knew it. By the time Clint and Muska reached the central plaza, Muska was out of breath and completely, utterly out of patience with the catalogue of Bimabeth Melbourne's charms. Every time Bimabeth's name was mentioned, faces lit up as reflecting some distant radiance. It's just the name they are all in love with, said the bitter, stinging voice in Muska's head. But we'll be all right. You will see her, and she will have a squint and voice like peeled gull. The guard led her along short hall and into a comfortable-looking reception room. A young woman in a green silk dress rose as they entered. Bimabeth Melbourne was about 16, Muska realized. Somehow, despite the mention of suitors, she had been half expecting to see someone younger, a girl her own age. Bimabeth had honey-colored hair that had been trained into a shimmering mass of wrinkles, but she managed to look natural rather than tortured. Her skin was creamy pale, with two pretty little coffee-colored freckles just at the corner of one of her dark gold eyebrows. Her blue eyes were large and well spaced, her brow small, her nose short, and her chin daintily pointed in a fashion that made her look a bit like a kitten. She smiled, and her eyebrow rose as if the pleasure of seeing them was almost painful. Her expression was as open as a flower. It was hopeless. She was flawless. She was a sunbeam. Muska gave up and got on with hating her. "It's very late for visitors," said Miss Bimabeth, as she looked the new arrivals up and down, her voice soft and carrying more of the local accent than Muska had expected from anyone in a silk dress. Her tone made her words sound more like an apology than a criticism. "Usually father likes to have the house locked up from an hour before dusk till an hour after dawn. Rest assured, ma'am, when you understand the urgency." "Would you like to sit down?" Bimabeth interrupted Clint without apparently realizing she was doing so. Clint and Muska obediently sat, Muska keeping a tight hold on Saracen's leash in case anything in this elegant room appeared. "Miss Melbourne, I must come to the point. I hope you will forgive me if my tidings distress you. You are, I fear, the target of an odious and felonious scheme. In short, there is a plan afoot to kidnap you." Now let's go for the questions. Very humorous piece, full of interesting jealousy from, of course, Muska towards the beautiful Bimabeth. The symbolic name of Bimabeth, beam, shining elegantly, of course, is enough to make her jealous of her counterpart or equal, Miss Bimabeth, of course. Look at lines 4, 6. Give one phrase that tells the reader who the imperiled heiress is. Heir, of course, is a person who will inherit the money after a person's death. The father or a mother, of course. Of course, we know that she's Bimabeth, and the word that is referring to her is what? The mayor's daughter, of course. The mayor's daughter. Why does the writer use capital letters in the phrase the peach tall and the perfect peony? Of course, to what? to emphasize. When you use capital letter, you are trying to emphasize the importance the speaker gives these words, of course. Explain what they, line refer to. Of course, whenever or wherever they ask, they, the people are who are trying to guide them to the place or where Bima Beth and the mayor, of course, live. The townspeople giving direction to Clint and Muska about where to find Bima Beth Merleborn. Everyone, of course, everyone they ask directly, they know she is a celebrity in this area, of course, in Tal. Look at lines 16 and 19. What does the first sentence tell the reader about the streets? They are sharp, steep like a hill, because it's a hill, of course. Explain why the writer chooses the word catalog. Catalog, we use it, of course, to describe a masterpiece, device, machine, or a beautiful place with different kind of qualities. But of course, it's used here to describe the annoyance of Muska because of her jealousy towards Bima Beth. So, repetitive, of course, Bima Beth virtues and charms, the enthusiasm of praise of Bima Beth, and finally, the annoyance. They are all annoyed. Muska is very annoyed at it. Why? She feels jealous of the girl before even meeting her. Question number 4. Look at lines 20, 29. What time of day is it? Mention, of course, it's late afternoon, early evening, at the sun dipping towards the horizon. This is, of course, a proof or evidence that what time is it? Afternoon, early evening, late afternoon, and early evening. What meaning does Clint intend by using the word poor? Of course, Clint reflection or suggesting that she's a poor creature means that he feels sympathy for her. This is one point. The second point, that she's in danger, she's in distress. He feels sympathy with her, so she is in troubles, of course. Explain what the phrase lemon juice running through veins tells the reader about Muska's feeling. Of course, she is in deep, bitter jealousy, bitter, resentful, or sour, likely due to her jealousy, of course. Irritation, annoyance at the constant praise of Bima Beth. Look at lines 30, 40. The footmen behave arrogantly towards Clint and Muska. Give 2 pieces of evidence from the text that tell the reader this. Of course, when you are arrogant, when you dislike somebody, you make movement, like what you look down at him with the using your eyes or face features. Here, enough, we have crane their necks, bend their necks, of course. Most disdainful. Disdain means a scorn. Look down upon someone. Slither of a glance. Look at lines 41, 50. Explain one way the writer uses structure to add details to the description of Bima Beth. Support your explanation with quotation. First of all, we have contrast. Okay, what contrast? Like what? Natural rather than torture. This is a technique that the writer uses to show what? Show her beauty despite the unlovely weather or the unlovely or the not favorable timing. She's not in good mood, but she's natural still. Powerful adjectives and adverbs, like what? Shimmering, daintily, creamy pale, well-spaced eyes in her face. All these are what? Beautiful adjectives. Similarly, of course, the writer compares her to a kitten. This is not a cat, she's a kitten. She's very innocent and beautiful. Personification, her eyebrows rose in as if the pleasure. So her eyebrows are in pleasure. Okay, every part of her is a pleasure, of course. She is very beautiful. That made Muska very jealous, of course. The writer uses imagery, as we mentioned, similarly personification, eyebrow rose as if in the pleasure, use of pronouns, okay, her skin, her blue eyes, her brow, she, like many examples of the use of pronoun referring to her, of course. So these techniques you can be listed as when you describe the structure that made the director use: simile, short sentences, metaphors, visual imagery, repetition, alliteration, personification, use of pronouns, use of contractions. All these techniques, you extract one or two of them to prove your point, or here he wants two pieces of evidence from the text that tell the reader this. Of course, you can just extract a metaphor or a short sentence or simile and give evidence, and everything will be okay. Let's move now to question number 7. Look at the lines 51, 60, 56. Bima Beth words explain something that is mentioned earlier in the text. What is it? Of course, what she mentioned is the length of time it takes Clint and Muska to reach the castle. Not, of course, the tone, not the footman's expression when he invites the visitors, on the way Clinton speaks to the footman. Of course, what was repeated at the beginning is the length of time it takes Clint and Muska to reach the castle. Look at lines 57, 63. Clint respects Bima Beth's high social class. Explain two ways that he shows this. Support each explanation with evidence from the text. First explanation, of course, Clint speaks formally and respectfully. Okay. How does he show this? Rest assured, ma'am, when you address someone with the word ma'am, of course, you are, because she's young, when you say such a thing, such quality or such name for a lady, ma'am, means that you respect her social class, of course. What else? What other evidence? Clint sits down when Bima Beth invites him to. So he doesn't sit directly until Bima Beth sits first, and she tells him to sit, of course. So what do? They obey her, of course. Look at the whole text. Which of these statements do you agree with most? Mosca was jealous of Bima Beth before she met her. Mosca changed her opinion of Bima Beth after she met her. Give two reasons for your choice. Support your reason with evidence from the text. Of course, she was jealous before even she looked at her. Why? Because every time they ask about Bima Beth place, the direction, faces lit up and people start smiling. Mosca is irritated by the constant praise, and they started praising the lady Bima Beth before even meeting her, before they met her, of course. So Mosca was, of course, jealous of Bima Beth before she met her. Evidence: every time Bima Beth's name was mentioned, faces lit up. The second reason, Mosca's internal thoughts reveal her bitterness. Now let's go for the writing section. You spend 30 minutes, don't waste them on this section. You have decided to enter a writing competition in an online magazine. Write a story with the title, The Message. Your story should be about one or more characters who must deliver an important message to someone face to face. You should think about what the message is and who the character who deliver it are. Who the message is for and why it is important. The journey the characters make to deliver their message. Exposition, introduce the character and setting. Then rising action on receiving the message. They, Sam, anybody choose any name. Try to make it interesting, of course, like Bima Beth, maybe. Then make the action rise on receiving the message. Message day, Sam felt a mix of sadness and curiosity. Then you go to the climax or top event, the challenge, when they are ambushed or when they are caught in a trap or when they leave to the town and they had an accident and one of them loses the message, but they find it. Then the falling action, bravery and dedication to overcome evil. Maybe they find they are faced with a gang and who try to stop them from delivering the message. Then finally, the resolution, emphasizing the power of courage and determination and unity in overcoming diversity. Maybe they use the power of what they ask for help from. While writing, don't forget the external conflict or the internal conflict. External conflict is what the trouble that they face, of course, Could be like a gang, evil people. Could be nature. Maybe they have a storm. Maybe they are traveling in the sea, and they have a storm, and the waves are high, and the ship sinks. Maybe they are facing a bad society or community that are not cooperative, that they are all against the person that they want to deliver the message, or they are afraid to help. Could be also internal conflict, the struggle to defeat fear of the unknown while trying to save the day. Now, the character, maybe Sam, of course, has internal fear. This is, of course, not worth the risk of going or traveling to all this distance just to save someone's life. Why I put my life at risk to save someone else's life? So there is what we call internal conflict. Of course, if you manage to put it, you can put it in a monologue, you can put it in a dialogue of your luck, writing a very super cool sentences with variety of beginning, variety of sentence length. Also try to write metaphors similarly, all these kind of techniques that will add to your story and will get you better mark or better score, inshallah. Good luck and see you in the next selection.